If these establishments, to the best of your knowledge, have actually ever been shut down as a result of enforcement action.
And not reopened?
Mm-hmm.
None?
I don't think there's been any.
I think we can all identify on our high streets barbers which don't look right. And actually, if you talk about your growth, well, some of the growth in barbering is because of these illegal enterprises. They do have a similar look and feel to these shops, but because there's no register of who can trade as a hairdresser or barber, there's nothing to stop these enterprises being opened. It isn't right to call them Turkish barbers. That's a misnomer. These are criminal enterprises being used for money laundering, which has been derived through people smuggling, drugs, prostitution, and other illegal activities. They are clever people. They have identified a loophole in our system, and they are taking advantage of it.
And it goes into modern, sorry to interrupt you, it goes into modern slavery as well, and we've worked with the Home Office on this around barber shops and nail bars as well, which can be particularly prevalent in this area. It's not something we want to excuse. We're here to professionalise and raise the reputation of the industry. We don't want to be standing next to these people that are, frankly, abusing a fantastic industry for their own kind of ill-gotten gains.
Have you got your hand up, so I'll finish that.
I'll try to politely jump in. For me, it's a really, really simple fix. You've tried to give us rules. You've tried to supposedly enforce. The gap's so wide that if you don't level the playing field between the gig economy workers, self-employed, disguised self-employed, then this will continue forever. Look at the biggest organisations in the country who deliver goods. Do they employ anybody? No, they don't. Did they get touched by the last budget? No, they didn't. You have to narrow the gap between different business models if you want the successful employment, or we'll all just go that way, because enforcement hasn't worked. Enforcement has not worked.
Really interested from the association's perspectives. What response, you mentioned actually, Victoria, about the Home Office. What response are you getting from the Home Office on the suggestion that there are a lot of illegal businesses involved in money laundering? I'm sure many of your members are on the high street, they can identify or would suggest that these are. How is that process of identification being fed to Home Office and then to police for them to investigate?
I must admit, my work with them has mainly been around modern slavery as opposed to money laundering, so it may be better for Gareth for that question. Okay. But at the moment, it's mainly around a whistleblowing facility, so we encourage members and businesses to be reporting that information to the relevant authorities within their either the local area or with the police and the Home Office directly.
Sometimes that doesn't work so well with the police directly. It might be better to actually have this channeled straight into Home Office and for it to come back down again.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and what I tend to find is that we kind of have a team in Home Office that gets put with us, and then they'll do a little bit of work, and then we get a change of personnel. They come back again 18 months later, the work starts again, you hear nothing, 18 months change, 18 months change.
What's the industry's sense of how much is being lost in terms of business to these illegal operations?
I think that's very difficult to answer because we don't know how many there are. And so, picking up on Victoria's comment, I think the work is often done in silos instead of it being countrywide. So maybe one police force, the West Midlands, for example, we were doing quite a lot of work with, were very proactive for a 3-month period. That project runs out of funding and so stops. And all that happens is the people are arrested one day, released, somebody else is back in that premises the next day because, again, they're clever. So we would like to see a much wider cross-governmental approach to this. DBT have been good and have been helping to drive this in towards Home Office.
We've got a loophole. It's driving good firms out of business. It's laundering money. It's contributing to modern slavery, and there is no sustained enforcement effort to shut it down. Is that what you're telling us, Gareth?
Correct. So there's the 1964 Hairdressers Registration Act is a voluntary register of those who wish to practice as hairdressers or barbers. If it was simply changed to be a mandatory register, at least we would know who was working or wanting to work in this sector. It would not solve all of these problems.
Any of these establishments, to the best of your knowledge, have actually ever been shut down as a result of enforcement action?
And not reopened?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's been any. I mean, we work with environmental health, so we work with environmental health officers that can go into these businesses. But what the environmental health officers are saying to us, we haven't got teeth. We haven't got anything to have teeth to shut these down. So some of them are doing really illegal practices in there, really, really poor techniques. But there is nothing those environmental health officers can do because all they can do is the employment at law work.
We've got these kind of epicentres of crime on the high street. Yeah. It's not just a crime in itself, it's destroying other small businesses around it. None have been shut down and there's no sustained enforcement effort either.
Correct.